I chopped up for the defenders game.
Got it. Okay.
Live from
My
the
intro thing is 5, so I'm just gonna start doing it over here.
And Romo's kick is taken
I
by
just started.
Williams at the 6. Boca Williams, an explosive athlete, bursts through before Romo forces him out of bounds.
But both the Eric King and Jordan Ta'amu very effective with their legs.
Ta'amu wants to throw, flush from the pocket, directing traffic, and he fires on time. Completion to Lucky Jackson, and he's got plenty of space. Jackson inside the 10, and finally taken down inside the 5 after a 53-yard gain.
And just an amazing job by Jordan Ta'amu. Feels the pocket breakdown. You see him point, telling Lucky to get open, run outside, get in phase, and then Lucky Jackson does the rest. You see the catch and run, runs out of gas.
Big play of the opening drive. Ta'amu on play action. A volley, complete for a touchdown. It's Alex Ellis, and DC wastes no time getting on the board.
Just great action underneath, loop pass to the right, but look at the defender. That's Luke Barku trying to undercut that throw. If that throw is just a little bit inside, or if that throw is just a little bit late, Barku's going to be able to make a play.
They're going to go for 2 from the 5-yard line. Ta'amu, and that is caught. It's a good conversion. It's Josh Hammond, and DC using most of their offensive weapons here on this opening drive.
Just a clinic of a start here. Look at Ta'amu working through his progression, works back inside. Yet again, terrific coverage defensively by Randy Texada. Just not enough as the ball's thrown low and away. Sitting next to each other in such a bitter rivalry is amazing.
Here's Boca Williams. Boca Williams, he's got space and speed. Boca Williams Jr. gets tripped up from behind. In a league that's only seen 1 kickoff return for a score this season.
Really impressive right there by number 20, Kemas Sivrin. He was full go, great angle, but my goodness, look at Boca Williams off to the races. Look at 20, shot out of a cannon.
21-yard attempt for Matt McCray out of Kansas State. And he makes his 11th of 74. Auburn is the play call. If we had time, I'd ask Cole about it. 3rd and 21. Sandwich and taken down. And a DC party in San Antonio.
And you only have a 3-man rush. There's 3 defenders that are rushing the quarterback against a 5-man protect. This is what they ran, so it's good to kind of compartmentalize those situational down distant play calls.
Chris Blair with room to run. The league's most dangerous deep threat takes it himself. And he's taken down at the 2-yard line. 40-plus yard receptions.
Just excellent timing on the glance route. Makes a guy miss. And he's off to the races. You can see the speed on display from Chris Blair.
Ta'amu lobs it wide open is Alex Ellis. DC has scored on every possession. Point after.
Just a great job there executing the mesh concept where you have 2 shallow crossing routes. You try to see if a defender gets picked. The defender's slow to cover Alex Ellis, who's crossing with speed.
They're going to go for 2 from the 5-yard line. Pressure coming up the middle. And another conversion for DC. They've been on a long losing streak. He eventually turned the program around. Here's Josh Hammond. Picks up a 1st down and a gain of 25.
Recording in progress.
Josh Hammond. Hammond can scoot a little bit for good reason. A skater in my 5th grade class. 49-yard attempt for Matt McCray. Got the leg, and he's got the after the penalty, 1st and 5. Ta'amu has room. 1st down run for the defenders. Great fake turns into a 13-yard gain.
attack, going and cutting the end man on the line of scrimmage, Downey. That allows Ta'amu to make a decision. Instead of trying to get to the perimeter, he cuts it up inside where there's plenty of space.
Consecutive runs for Jordan Ta'amu. And DC back in front by one.
Another unbelievably good block from Abe Smith. This time he flattens the defender right in the hole. Look at him meet up right there. Puts that defender on his back, and the next thing you know, Ta'amu's right behind. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. You'll take it 8 days a week, but does leave a lot of time for the promise.
Like the Fiesta being too much fun. I think for the next day, here's Fred Brown.
Taken down by the kicker at the 48.
It's a 40-yard return. Wing the holder. And it is no good. Only the second miss of the season for Romo.
Good snap, good hold. Ball starts on line and then just stays a little bit wide to the right. You think it's going to draw right inside that right upright. It just doesn't go. Romo's bailed them out so many times this year.
That's right. It's Monday night. Excuse me. Sports on the Hill podcast, episode 307. Coming to you live from the lab. You see, we already got Robbie G,
the XFL talk. We always keep all of our VODs up, and I also highlight all of these videos as well. So I will make sure the XFL gets its own video, and then I'll do a video about this NBA segment as well, and then we'll also get one for the Nats and the NHL talk at the end of that. So we're going to keep it here for this end of this fourth quarter. We're going to kind of analyze this one, and then we'll break down the other playoff matchups. But while we're doing this, we did briefly talk about this Philly-Brooklyn matchup. What were some of your thoughts on the easy win in some regards for that?
Yeah, I think game 3 was kind of the closest game that I saw, and basically Embiid almost got ejected. Charles Barkley was pointing out that you don't get kicked out of a game for if you hit somebody in the chest, okay, but he kicked him in the almost kicked him in the groin. Oh wow, that was a crazy shot. Spencer Dinwiddie was kind of went crazy. Like I was trying to take an isolation shot over Joel Embiid, and Embiid blocked it. Harden got ejected from that game. I think that was more incidental contact. Just boxing, like trying to create contact. And that after they made all those trades, they traded Kyrie, they traded Kevin Durant. I thought in the short term they probably could have held on to Kevin Durant, given that he was under contract for a couple more seasons. And Kyrie Irving's not really a big difference maker, but they chose to go a different way, and they'll probably be rebuilding in the short term, even though they have a lot of talented young players like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. I don't think they're really going to make any noise. We'll see, and especially Spencer Dinwiddie not really playing. He thinks he's better than he is. He's gotten deep with Kyle Kuzma, but it's not just Wizards fans that are upset with him. Dallas Mavericks fans are upset with him, and I think even that stands away that he kind of doesn't really defer to other players on his team. Even though he had 17 points per game in the playoff series, he kind of bit up more than he can do, and the Nets. They don't even have the draft pick. Ben Simmons is MIA still, and they're probably not going to be a playoff team next season.
Yeah, so Butler's going off in this game. He's now scored 51 points, including making the last 2, 5, 6, 7 points, I think, in the game.
Crazy. That was like
he's going nuts. 58 seconds left here. And Milwaukee's inbounding down 3, but it's been a really exciting matchup. Talk a little bit about this series though with the Heat, and oh wow, the Heat just stole the ball. 50 seconds left. They drive to the basket and they miss it, but they foul him, and so Butler will go to the line to shoot 2 with 47.6 seconds. I think they should just back off there. Maybe, I don't know. They were only down 3. But Butler was smart to sort of take it to the rim. But overall, I know that we've had some injuries on the Milwaukee side, but are you surprised that the Heat are up 2-1 in this series?
Not really, given that Giannis missed the last couple of games, and even this game, I was like, oh, the Heat are down by like 11 points in the fourth quarter. But we saw last year that crazy comeback they had against the Celtics, and they were a jump shot away from beating Boston in Game 7. So I was just tuning in. I feel like whoever was going to win this game would be the favorite to go on, especially if Milwaukee went to regain home court. But a collapse like this, if Miami ends up holding on to win, is huge. They're without Tyler Hero, so even I think if Giannis was back, maybe the Bucks would be favored. But right now, Miami holds on to win this game. They only need to win one more game. Even that Giannis missed 3 games, and really no excuses for the Bucks. They were up double digits. I don't really think they were getting Giannis involved in the game. They were doing a little bit too much isolation ball with Drew Holiday, and they were getting some good matchups. Brook Lopez was seeing in the fourth quarter, but overall, Miami's defense kind of stepped up to the plate. Jimmy Butler has been the best player in this game. Like I think he's gonna have 49. Oh, no, 52 points. Probably 53 if he makes the free throw in. Um, yeah, like Milwaukee's defense can step up even though Giannis is back. And I think they've been stuck on like 107 in that area for like five minutes. Their offense is kind of like slowed down. Pretty bad offense in Miami, and I can sympathize as a Wizards fan. Like, as Giannis misses a layup, and it's like Miami's going to win this game, and Milwaukee's going to need probably a 3-1 comeback, unless like Miami manages to choke away this game.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he makes the first free throw. They go up 115 to 109. I think that may have salted this game away. Scoring update in the hockey, though. Austin Matthews is going off at 9:44 in the third. He scores a wrist shot, and at 12:29 in the third, he is a tip-in on a power play goal, and he cuts it to a one-goal differential. There's 5.5 minutes left here in the third. So Toronto has made a game of it here late in the third. So we'll be watching that. But Butler is just going off, and it's been an exciting game for sure here. Let's just go through the other series real fast in the bracket. So we've already talked about the 1-8. So the 5-4, New York is up 3-1 in their series over Cleveland. What are some of your thoughts on that series?
Yeah, surprisingly, Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart have both been the best players for the Knicks. I didn't actually see that. Like, I'm a Villanova fan, but Julius Randle has been like an all NBA caliber player, but he's coming off an injury, and he actually been playing the fourth quarter. RJ Barrett, he was kind of a dub the first two games, but the last game, he just got to the rim, and weird, like there's like a balance, like either one player has to be a bust for the Knicks, and I guess it's Julius Randle right now. Like they can't have like everybody firing on all cylinders. Their bench is playing really well. The Cavs, it's interesting. Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson, they faced off in the playoffs last year, both with different teams. Brunson ended up beating Mitchell. It was kind of predictable. I don't know why people thought Jalen Brunson was going to get paid last season, even though he got 100 million. Like players like Fields got like 40 to 45 million, and Brunson he performed pretty well in the playoffs. He had like 28 points per game with Luka Doncic out. Donovan Mitchell's a hell of a player, but I think the Knicks are just a deeper team. The Cavs have traded away a bunch of players even to get Donovan Mitchell, and for some reason they waived Kevin Love, who's actually on the Miami Heat right now. They could actually have used Kevin Love because their front court depth, even though Allen and Mobley are great players, if one of them are in foul trouble, they kind of suffer. And I think the Knicks, I was actually talking about this with Tim, like this series could go either way, but now that the Knicks defended their home court, I think they're probably the favorites to win this series, and I don't really foresee them blowing a 3-1 series lead, even though it's NBA plus, anything can happen. I feel like the Knicks with Brunson leadership and Josh Hart, Hart's been incredible. Anybody could have had him at the trade deadline pretty much, and the Knicks had gave up a first round pick, but they had multiple first round picks from the Porzingis trade. And last year's draft, they actually didn't draft Johnny Davis. They got 3 first round picks instead of taking Johnny Davis. But the Knicks look like they might make a deep run if they hold on to win. They could play Miami potentially. That would be pretty epic. If Miami managed to hold on to a 3-1 series lead, although I'm not ruling this series, I don't think it's over. Milwaukee, Miami, they're down 3-1. The Bucks are champions from a couple years ago, but that would be pretty. Either way, I think the Knicks have a chance even against Milwaukee or Miami.
Yeah. One other scoring update. The Jets just got a power play goal over the Golden Knights. So they scored the first goal in that game. They're now up 1-0. I'm rooting for the Jets because I don't particularly like the Golden Knights, but I have some friends that live in Winnipeg, so I thought that'd be kind of fun. This game here, this Tampa Bay Lightning Toronto game, it's Still a 1-goal lead. Tampa Bay is still up by 1 with 4 minutes left in the period here. And this NBA playoff game is almost over. It's 116 to 109 with 19.3 seconds left in that. So we also will have an upcoming game between the Lakers and the Grizzlies, which is exciting. And just like that, Toronto scores a goal, and the place is going nuts out in Toronto.
Yeah, 4-1 earlier.
Yeah, it was, and they've scored 3 unanswered goals here in the third. And Vasilevsky gets screened here, and it's a nice, I think it's tipped, or maybe it's just a great shot from the point. Riley goes in. Riley was one of the big saviors for them in the last game, and sure enough, it's just a seeing eye puck. A great screen by Tavares up front. I don't think he touches it, but I'm not sure. But either way, it's a goal. And 4 minutes left in the game, just under 4 minutes. It's a tie. It's a tie 4-4 game. So they've scored 3 goals in the last 6 minutes and 20 seconds here to tie it up. Milwaukee is at the free throw line, and they make the second one. Now, a 5-point game with 20.6 seconds, so it's not over, but it's still looking like Miami is going to win. Some great ball movement by Miami to get some time off the clock. Then they get, obviously, to Butler, who they want to pad his stats. Why not? He's been a great player all night. So 15.8 seconds, and Butler's going to the line to shoot 2. Let's talk about some of these other series in the bracket. So we've gone through almost all of them. The last one is Boston-Atlanta in the East. That series continues tomorrow at 7:30. Boston is up 3-1 over Atlanta in that series. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, Atlanta kind of gave its best at home, but I think Boston is overall a much better team. And even if Atlanta had managed to win Game 4, I don't really think Atlanta had what it took to win on the road. The Hawks did play better than they thought they would at home. Like, even though they lost by a pretty significant margin, like, they did keep it close. But I think Marcus Smart, he had an incredible 3-point shot towards the half. I think it was a 4-point play. And Jaylen Brown was great. Jason Tatum, he was great in the first quarter. Wasn't really doing much for the rest of the game. But I think Atlanta, they just don't have enough weapons. Like, Bogdanovich is fine. Capella's a good big man, but Collins can't hit threes, and DeAndre Hunter from UVA, he's kind of not. You forget that he's even out there. Sometimes he's kind of invisible for somebody who's making, I think, like $15-20 million a year. So even though Trae Young is he's kind of doing his thing, he's not the most efficient floor, but he definitely needs more help. And Boston just has a lot more talent. Like, even off the bench, Malcolm Brogdon, 6th man of the year, and the Celtics look like they're the favorites to come out of these if Milwaukee ends up losing to Miami.
Yeah. So Brook Lopez did make a 22-foot three-pointer, but Jimmy Butler is at the line. It's still up by 5, and this will kind of seal the deal if they can make it. Oh, he misses it, though. There's 6 seconds left. Giannis is trying to go off the court. He gets stripped of the ball. The game is over. And I believe Jimmy Butler just had a career high, so not a playoff career high, but a career high 56 points. And it's a record, I believe, for any Heat player in the playoff history. So he made...
Yeah, that's correct. That is his career high.
Yeah, so 15 of 18 free throws, 3 for 8 from 3, 19 for 28 field goal percentage, played 40 minutes, had 9 rebounds to go along with that. And so even though Giannis had a triple-double, it was not enough. And the Heat win this game, which I think is huge. Because I kind of thought they were going to lose this one with Giannis coming back, and then it was going to be a tied series. But to go up 3-1, I mean, definitely I don't think it's over. I think Milwaukee will win Game 5, but can Milwaukee win 3 in a row? It's going to be tough for sure. Any final thoughts on this game?
Yeah, like Milwaukee had it like they had this game won. They're up by double digits with like 6 minutes to go. But I just think Milwaukee kind of played out the clock a bit, and they didn't really get Giannis involved, and their offense kind of broke down. Milton is also kind of absent. Holiday did hit a huge three, but yeah, lots of turnovers, and Miami finally knocked down some shots. I don't know if they can get this kind of game from Jimmy Butler every time, but they just did win one game out of three. So this series is definitely not over, but looking much better for Miami 3-1 than 2-2. If it was 2-2, I was going to pretty much write off Miami, but Miami, I think, is the favorite. They just need to win one game, but can't eliminate the Bucks either.
Yeah, for sure. So they just to show the stat, the fourth highest scoring output in NBA playoff history of any team, any player. So impressive for sure. The game is still tied 4-4 with 1:40 left in the third period here in this Toronto-Tampa Bay game. Vegas has tied the game now with just about 10 minutes left in the first period. It's 1-1 in that game. So ESPN and TBS and TNT have all the games tonight. There's a lot of exciting games going on. Memphis is up to a very quick start. They're up 6-0 over the Lakers in LA. LA leads the series 2-1. We'll talk about this series in just a moment. But before we get to that one, I do want to talk about some of these other series. We're going to start off with the Denver series against Minnesota. It definitely was a surprise. I thought it was going to be a sweep. I'll put it that way. I thought Denver was going to sweep them, but the Timberwolves had a really good overtime period in this fourth game, and they really were scrappy, and they held on to get one. Do you think this is just the anomaly and Denver wins the next one and it's over, or what were some of your thoughts about this series in general and then the overtime win for the Timberwolves?
Yeah, the Timberwolves are surprisingly, they can put together a good effort. Last year they were up every single game that they lost against Memphis. They were up by double digits, and they blew a fourth quarter lead. In this game, they did blow a huge lead to the Nuggets. I think they're up by 12 points, 96-84 with 2 minutes left. And then I was watching my DVR, and then all of a sudden I was fast forward, oh, this game's over. And then they say the Nuggets knocked down 4 threes in a row or something by the game. So the Timberwolves can fix their problem of blowing big leads. Maybe they have a chance, but I don't know. I don't really see it happening, and you can't fix that overnight. And plus, they have to win at Denver twice against the Nuggets. Are, I think, a much better team. Not much, they're better than the Grizzlies were last year. It's the number 1 seed. I think they'll probably win in Game 5.
Your quick thoughts on this Phoenix Clippers series that'll continue tomorrow at 10 p.m. Phoenix leads it 3-1 over the Clippers.
Yeah, the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard, they're kind of putting together a good effort. Russell Westbrook looks like a really good player again. I think his demise was over-exaggerated, even by myself. I didn't think he was going to be as good as he was with the Wizards. He's been a little bit better. It's just that there's no Kawhi Leonard, there's no Paul George. The Clippers are one of the deepest teams in the league, given that Palmer just pays everyone, and they had to dust it off Marcus Morris, a $50 million 5-year player. He wasn't even in the rotation. He's the quality player to be playing for the Wizards. But it just feels like with Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, Booker, and Ayton, even though their bench is terrible and that presents problems for the Suns, it just feels like the Clippers. I think if Kawhi was healthy, I actually think the Clippers could have won this series even before Russell Westbrook turned back into 2017 Russell Westbrook. But without Kawhi, without Paul George, I think the Suns will win. I'm not sure how much further they'll get, but Suns looking like the favorites here.
Yeah, and game is going to overtime in that Lightning Maple Leafs game, so that'll be interesting. So we'll be monitoring that once they comes back from their 17-minute intermission. So we'll talk about that at the end of the show. Let's go ahead and skip ahead to the Golden State Warriors versus the Sacramento Kings. Carol was talking a little bit about this series. Before we started, it's 2-2 tied, and that will continue on Wednesday at 10 p.m. What are your thoughts on this tied series?
Yeah, I felt the series could go either way, but now it just reported that De'Aaron Fox suffered a hand injury and he's doubtful for Game 5. So I think that shifts the series to Golden State's advantage. Fox has pretty much been matching Curry's points per game. Curry is grading more for his teammates and with the spacing and whatnot, but Fox, if they're without him, he's the Kings' best player unless the bonus steps up to the plate. This series was really close. Game 2, the Warriors missed a potential game winner at the buzzer. Game 4, the Kings missed a potential game winner at the buzzer. And Harrison Barnes is a former member of the Warriors team that won the title in 2015 and lost to the Cavs in 7 games. So he had the opportunity to have the Kings up 3-1, and he wasn't able to get it done. Just like in the 2016 finals, he was like 3 for 35 in games 5 through 7. But he'll probably bounce back. He seems to be more mentally tough. But if they don't have Fox, the Warriors' chances just increased a lot. Even they'll still have to win on the road. They'll have to at least win 1 time out of 2 in Sacramento to win the series. The Warriors have been one of the worst road teams in the NBA, but I think Curry and Thompson should probably be able to get it done at least 1 time. They did almost beat the Kings in Game 2, and that was the Draymond. Game 1, Draymond was suspended and got kicked out of that 1 game. So I think the Warriors should probably move on here.
Yeah, Austin Reeves just made a big shot to cut it to 10-9 now in a very close game to start here with the Lakers, and so I'm going to put that game up on the scoreboard over here. So let's talk about this series because it's just been kind of interesting. There's been a lot of talk about poking the bear and how you shouldn't do that. The Grizzlies, were basically taunting the Lakers and LeBron to do something, and LeBron comes back and they have a monstrous first quarter in that last game. They ultimately take a 2-1 series lead because of that game. Arun, what are some of your thoughts about quote-unquote poking the bear, and do you now think the Lakers are the favorite team in this series, or do you think the Grizzlies can find a way?
Yeah, actually, I think the Lakers are the favorites. Things can obviously change. I actually was watching the Lightning game over the Lakers Grizzlies game because I think the Lakers aren't the favorites. I think they managed to lose this game, but the Dylan Brooks trash talk was really kind of dumb. It wasn't even that compelling trash talk. Deshaun Stevenson, I felt like trash talk LeBron better, and he actually kind of backed it up a little bit. And the Wizards were underdogs, and that's massive underdogs in that series. Whereas the Grizzlies, you could arguably come up with a case that they should win this series, especially with John Morant back in the lineup. But I think LeBron, you don't really thought this version of LeBron is actually now he's won 4 rings since the Deshaun Stevenson era, and the Dylan Brooks kind of drawing attention to himself. He did hit LeBron in the he got ejected, and I don't think kind of drew attention to himself with that trash talk. It wasn't even that good. It's more like he tried to play the heel and the WWE wrestling.
Yeah, I kind of got WWE vibes too. That's kind of funny that you say that. It's a shame the champ's not on it anywhere, but I know that he's in chat. But it's Yeah, I don't know. I think it was kind of a dumb move because now LeBron is even more motivated, right, than he was before, and to prove that he's not too old for this. And a motivated LeBron James is probably not what you want if you're a Grizzlies fan. And it's been a close game so far here, 10-9. Obviously, the Grizzlies are up, but I still think it's going to be interesting to see how they do going forward. Um, and yeah, I don't know. They're showing Ja Morant and how they had to like bandage up his hand there. He had 45 points in Game 3. He's going to have to be a hero again in in this one for sure. Any other?
Yeah, and also like he did have 45, but like the first quarter, like Grizzlies only had 9 points total, so it's like different like having 45 and like when you're down like huge amounts of points. So hopefully, like he's a great player, but it's definitely like I feel like it should be taken with a little bit of grain of salt. Like if he puts the 45 in the close game, that would be like 5 times better.
Yeah, champ like that. That WWE reference. I'll say the Colorado Seattle game is now starting. And so obviously it's 0-0. In this one, Colorado leads the series 2-1. And Seattle played a really good first home game. And they had not played a home game in like 100 years or something. And in the playoffs, that is. And they were down big. Then they scored 2 to make it a game, but then Colorado just does what they do, a quote-unquote avalanche of goals, and they ended up winning pretty big in that game. And so the it'll be interesting to see which game that they put on TNT and which game that they're going to put on True TV here, or sorry, TBS. It's funny because Turner has everything tonight. Now they're gonna have 3 games going: TNT, TBS, and on True. It's almost like watching March Madness over there. They've got.
They need like the split screen going for all the hockey and basketball games.
Yeah, I know. I'm happy that I've got 3 screens in my man cave because it's starting to add up pretty quickly here. But I think we've gone through all of the different series. Any final thoughts, Arun, before I bring CP3 back on the NBA playoffs as it stands? I know next week we might not do a full analysis because it's going to be our 2-year affiliate stream live on Twitch. And so we're going to be doing art for the first hour, and then we're going to talk about the Defenders for the second hour, and then we'll briefly talk about the NHL and the NBA playoffs, as well as a little bit of a Nats update. But it'll be an abbreviated podcast next week, but we'll definitely have you back on in 2 weeks if we don't have you on next week to talk about the next round of the series. But do you think anything's going to drastically change in the next week, or do you think that a lot of these series will go as they have so far?
Just like maybe Milwaukee, Miami can change. But right now, I think the Warriors are going to win with Fox out. Clippers are going to lose to the Suns. And this series, I guess this series is kind of up for grabs. Lakers, Grizzlies, but I think the Lakers right now are the favorites, especially even though Job had a great outing in game 3 with 45 points. I feel like the Lakers are kind of stepping into the theater, but they could easily let the Grizzlies back into this one. It would be important for the Lakers to get a 3-1 series lead. Also interesting that Rui's like averaging 20 points per game with the Lakers. I just think the Lakers have a little bit more talent, and the Grizzlies are more so just really bad, which their depth is bad with Park and Adams out. So they don't really enough guys. I think Rui's still really good, but kind of we'll see him do it also against in the next round as well. But if he can do that, then I think the Wizards will get it, but definitely be interesting to see. And speaking of the Wizards, Tommy Shepard fired. Kind of want to see what Ted Leon says. I feel like he needs to give like an interview, like what the Wizards are thinking. Are they going to hire the Golden State Warriors general manager Bob Myers? Are they going to get Tim Connolly, who made a pretty bad trade with the Timberwolves, was from the Wizards? The Wizards reportedly offered him the highest paid salary before he was reported to go to the East Conference team. if the job became a food. He wanted a job at an Eastern Conference team that became available. That was before Tommy Shepard got fired. Also, there's talk about that Leonsis wanted to trade Bradley Beal, so it's kind of, I feel like that's only a rumor now, but it'd be pretty good for Leonsis got out and did an interview like the Washington Post and probably just like put some rumors to rest, but definitely be interesting what the Wizards are going to do going forward. I don't think, even though they missed the playoffs, they feel like there's a lot of parity in the NBA, so like a good draft pick could put them back in the playoff race or another good trade. But definitely important they pick up good general manager. Tommy Shepard wasn't exactly bad. He made some good trades like for Porzingis. But the draft pick, even though they're still the jury's out on a lot of them, like Benny and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's actually been good. Even Johnny Davis closed the season out well. They just haven't hit yet, and I can definitely understand why the Wizards are moving on from Shepard. You want to get somebody who nails the draft picks, and that's going to be the best avenue for the Wizards to improve the team going forward.
One last question. Are you happy with the move that we kept our coach, or do you think he should have gone too?
I think for now it's better to keep the coach, but the new general manager can decide who the coach is going to be. And it's a little bit of a bad time to get rid of the coach and the GM, given that somebody has to like essentially draft the team. Unseld, I feel like in some ways has been better than Brooks, and in other ways has been worse. Like the defense, I feel like it's gotten better with Unseld. But like some things with Bradley Beal, like Beal was a 30-point per game scorer before Wes Unseld joined, and now he's like only, even though he's really efficient, he's only 3-point per game scorer. There have been some rule changes that may be part of that, but there are less free throws for Beal. But the pace has improved, so I feel like Beal should be having more points. Is that on Beal for not being healthy? But it's also like Beal has had like he's like 30-point games, but he's also put up like 10 or 12-point games. I think people are pretty angry at the Wizards for using the injury excuse because lots of teams have injuries. But I do see the logic that they only had 36 games together, Porzingis, Beal, and Kuzma, and even when they were healthy, it's like they're coming off of injuries. So maybe some cohesion could work going into next season, but I feel like Unseld, this is probably, if he doesn't really get much done, I think he should be on the hot seat. And some fans think he wouldn't even be on the team if it wasn't for his last name. So fair or not, this might be like Unseld last season.
Yeah, I feel like this is basically his last shot at it, and then it gives the new GM an opportunity to potentially pick his own coach. I will say that the Kraken just scored a goal on a beautiful shot from, as Carol would call it, the Ovi's office. So they take a 1-0 lead over the Avalanche in their game. So that's exciting as well. But Arun, thank you as always for breaking down the NBA playoffs with us. And if we don't have you on next week, we'll definitely have you on the following week to do an update on how things are going. But I appreciate you helping us break it all down.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And also, I probably won't talk about hockey, but I'll look forward to watching it as well.
Yeah, for sure. There's some exciting hockey games going on, indeed. So appreciate it as always. All right, CP3, we're going to switch back to our baseball graphic. Let me see if I can do this correctly. And then, right? Yeah, it does. And I'm going to run and refresh my drink as you talk about the Nationals because I didn't honestly watch any of the games, but I appreciate you for breaking them down, and I will be right back.
Well, you gotta give me a quick second because once again I'm in transition and for some reason my feed isn't matching up with the overlay with the new setup. Well, I guess I did all my graphics for no reason because I can't get you. Let me see.
Would it be better to go to a single screen and just go to a U up for your view? You could always do that.
Let me see. That's what I said. I just took that one off. All right, let me see if I can bring this one up. Give me a quick second. Where is it at? All right, let me bring that over.
Well, I guess you should make the 2 up anyway because we're going to be talking hockey a little bit. So, but whatever you want to do.
Yeah, it's killing me why it's doing this right now.
It's all good. I'll give some scoring updates while you're trying
Yeah,
to
go
figure
ahead
it
and get
out.
some. Yeah, it's going on this while I get this figured out. Cause now,
So live on True TV, we got 15 minutes left. We've got Seattle up 1-0. On TBS, we've got Toronto, Tampa Bay in overtime. The first minute of overtime here. So it's the second game in a row to go to overtime in Tampa Bay. The game is tied 4-4. In this Lakers game versus Memphis Grizzlies, right now the Lakers are down by 1, but they are at the line and they make the first free throw to tie the game. 2:37 left in the first quarter in that one. And with a second free throw coming for Schroeder, who's been playing better as of late. He's always a dangerous scoring threat, and he makes the second free throw. So it puts the Lakers up 1 with 2:35 left in the first quarter. It looks like it's offsides here in the hockey game. And welcome to a chat, Arun. Arun saying hello on our Twitch chat, so I appreciate it.
all right, I'm ready to rock and roll, Rob. We had to do a little bit of quick on the fly stuff, but I'm ready to rock and
All right.
roll.
I'm going to mute myself, and then I'm going to just refresh my drink, and I'll be right back in like 5 minutes. But I'll let you rock and roll with all the Nats talk.
All right, sounds good. Nats talk. It was a 2-3 week. They had 5 games interleague play, 2 games against the Orioles and 3 games against Minnesota. Unfortunately, they got swept and shut out at home by the Orioles in their 2 games, and they won 2 out of 3 against the Twins, looking for the sweep, but came up a little short on Sunday due to old Nat going deep on Patrick Corbin to give them the lead. And the win. But let's not get too far ahead. In the last 10 games, the Nats are 3-7. As I mentioned, they went 2-3 the last week. Currently sitting 5th in the division at 7-14. First game of the old series, which was at home, which I always say it sucks to get shut out. It always sucks to lose, but it sucks even more to get shut out at home. The first game was a 1-0 loss. Dean Kramer earned the victory for the O's. That's his first victory of the season. He went 6 2/3, giving up 4 hits, no runs, with 6 strikeouts and no walks. Once again, Josiah Gray puts up another solid performance, but can't get any run support. He drops to 0-4, 5 innings, giving up 4 hits, 1 run, 3 strikeouts with 4 walks. And Felix Bautista earned his 5th save for the O's, going 1 inning, giving up 1 hit with no runs, strikeouts, or walks. No offense, so nothing to talk about for the Nats. Second game of the series was a 4-0 loss. Kyle Brandish got his first victory of the season for the O's, going 6 innings, giving up 5 hits, no runs, 6 strikeouts, and 1 walk. And Mackenzie Gore dropped to 2-1. He went 6 innings, giving up 3 hits, 3 runs, 7 strikeouts, and 4 walks. And once again, no offense, so nothing to report on that front. After they lost the 2 games to the O's at home, they went on the road to a chilly Minnesota and found the way to win 2 out of 3 against a good team. It just seemed like the Nats just played a little bit better against them. They won the first game of the series 3-2. The Twins were up 2-0 most of the game going into the 7th, and the Nats put up 3 runs between the 7th and the 8th to get the lead and hold on to the lead and win the game. Surprisingly, that's something they haven't been doing on a regular basis, let alone consistently. Erasmo Ramirez earned his first victory of the season. I put him at 1-1. He went 1 inning, giving up 1 hit, no runs, no strikeouts with 1 walk. Griffin Jacks took the loss. That dropped him to 1-2. He went 1 inning, giving up 3 hits, 2 runs with 2 strikeouts and no walks. Kyle Finnegan earned his 4th save of the season, going 1 inning, giving up 1 hit, no runs, no strikeouts, and a walk. As I said, they were down 2-0 all the way up until the 7th inning. In the top of the 7th, Joey Meneses got his first home run of the season. It was a solo home run, which made it 2-1 Minnesota. Top of the 8th, Lane Thomas had an RBI single, tying the game up, making it 2-2. And then right after him, Kybert Ruiz came up with the RBI single, scoring Thomas to give the Nats a 3-2 lead. And as I said, Kyle Finnegan closed it out in the bottom of the 9th. But the bottom of the 9th to solidify the first win of the series. Second game of the series was a 10-4 Nats win. It was a great game to watch as a Nats fan, to see some offense, to see some hitting, and to see some decent pitching, to hold them to 4 runs. Mason Thompson got the win. I put him at 2-1. He went. Guy gave up. He went 2 innings in the 2 1/3 innings, giving up 2 hits, 1 run. That run wasn't earned, with 4 strikeouts and no walks. Pablo Lopez took the loss. That dropped him to 1-2. He went 4 innings, giving up 5 hits, 5 runs with 6 strikeouts and 2 walks. In the top of the first, Joey Meneses had an RBI single, making it 1-0. Then Candelero scored on a wild pitch with the bases loaded. No, the bases were loaded, but scored on a wild pitch. That made it 2-0. Top of the second, Meneses had an RBI single, making it 3-0. Then Luis Garcia had an RBI single, also in the top of the second, making it 4-0. That was in the top of the second. I'm sorry, 4-0. In the top of the fourth, Candelero had a sacrifice fly, making it 5-1. In the top of the 7th, after who was it? It was a Candelero. Candelero hustled it out to get on base. I believe it was 2 outs, and C.J. Abrams came up to bat with 2 on. It hit a 3-run home run, busting the game wide open, making it 8-4. In the top of the 9th, Victor Robles, who's been playing pretty well at the plate with the bat. That's been one of his issues. I believe he's in the 300s. He's been sacrifice bunting, been getting the ball in open areas, not thinking too much, not doing too much at the plate. And it's been working for him for the most part. And we all know how solid he is defensively. So I'm waiting for him to get his first Golden Glove, because he's made some Golden Glove type plays. Just hasn't got the Golden Glove type recognition yet. He had an RBI double, making it 9-4. And Candelero had an RBI single, making it 10-4, which gave the Nats the win with the final score of 10-4 and the win in the series. And Sunday they were going for the sweep, with Patrick Corbin taking the mound. And unfortunately, Corbin gave up 2 solo home runs, one of them to Michael A. Taylor, which was about 444 feet. And at that point, made it a 2-1 game. They tacked on another run to make it 3-1, which was the final score. Bailey Ober got the victory for the Twins. That was his first of the season, putting him at 1-0. He went 5 2/3, giving up 3 hits, 1 run with 4 strikeouts and 3 walks.
Carol, real quick.
Yo.
Just a scoring update, and then I'm going to let you go right back into it.
All right.
Austin Kerfoot scores and completes that crazy comeback, 4 unanswered goals. And Toronto in overtime, second overtime in a row they've won in Tampa Bay. Takes a huge lead in this series. Now they take a 3-1 lead.
Wow.
Going back to Toronto. But Toronto has known for choking 3-1 leads in the past. So, not over, especially because Tampa Bay is a championship team. But I just want to give that overtime scoring update. Also, Lakers are up 29-23 in that game. But I'll let you get back to it.
Oh, well, this is the last game of the recap. So,
well, I'm going to let you finish that and then preview the upcoming games, and then I'm going to be right back.
All right, sounds good. Patrick Corbin, as I said, took the loss. I dropped him to 1-3. He went 6 innings, giving up 7 hits, 3 runs, 6 strikeouts, and 2 walks. Jahan Duran earned his 5th save, going 1 inning, giving up no hits, no runs, 1 strikeout with no walks. The top of the first, Ruiz had a RBI double, giving the Nats a 1-0 lead. And like I said, unfortunately, Corbin gave up back-to-back home runs. I believe it was the fourth inning, and they tacked on another run late to make it 3-1. And unfortunately, the Nats couldn't solidify the sweep. Went 2-3 on the week, and have 6 games coming up. 3 of them against the Mets starting on tomorrow. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday matchups. All of them are 7-10 starts. Then they come back home. Versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is actually on a 7-game winning streak right now, so they're playing some good ball. Friday, Saturday, Sunday matchup. Excuse me. Friday is a 7:05. Saturday is 1:05, and Sunday is a 1:35 start. Hopefully the Nats can finally get a 500 week or maybe above. They had a chance if they'd have swept the Twins to go 3-2 last week, but unfortunately came up a little short with Corbin giving up the long ball once again. But we're starting to see some spark. As I mentioned, C.J. Abrams got his first home run as a Nat, a 3-run shot, and that 10-4, I'm not going to say blowout, but 10-4 convincingly won game by the Nats. Dominic Smith, he's been helping spark the team. Candelaro's been playing well. Garcia's been getting timely hitting. Pitching, been okay. But we got to figure out what's going on with the run support for Josiah Gray. Reminds me of back in the day with Jordan Zimmerman. He threw the no-hitter, but kind of had to because they wasn't giving him no run support. He had to go out there and throw almost perfect games every night just to try to get a victory. So hopefully they can get that figured out because they have put up some runs for him, I believe, last year. Got to get some runs for him this year. And that's pretty much Nats talk for this week. Hopefully next week, as I said, we can have a 500 or above week, but, playing quality opponents, and they're still trying to figure some things out, still figuring some pitching out. And the big question I'm going to leave with Nats fans is, what we do with Strasburg. I know a lot of fans is, hindsight 2020, we should have never given the contract, yada, 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 yada. But if he can come back, and he does come back, that'll definitely help this team. Pitching and in so many other ways, morale-wise, veteran leadership-wise, and yeah. But like I said, just gonna see what they can do. Keep it going. I'll be going to the game on the 13th versus. Let me check my calendar. Versus the Mets. So yeah, I'll be at Nets Park for that game on the 13th. And I guess before we get into hockey, I'll go ahead and I meant to touch on it during the Defenders portion of the show, because we all know that the draft is coming up on Thursday, NFL draft that is. So just a quick rundown on the draft picks for the Commanders. They have the 16th pick in the first round, the 47th pick in the second round, the 97th pick in the third round, the 118th pick in the fourth round, the 150th pick in the fifth round, 193rd and 215 in the sixth round, and 233 in the seventh round. So stay tuned Thursday for that. I'm going to try to coordinate with Dujanay sometime next week to see if we can get our off-season post-draft special in.
Carol, I do want to talk a little Commanders with you real quickly before we get into some hockey talk. So I don't want to rush this too much, but did you, by any chance, listen to that interview with on the radio?
No, I did not. For one, because of the station that was on, and for two, from what I've heard about this guy, it's nothing is what it seems with him. So I'm not even really going to entertain this, whatever he's attempting or trying to do. I'm of the mindset.
It's crazy that the NFL looked into this, right? And they're letting the bid go through. Rarely do people actually get a bid sent to the NFL to ask, do you think this is worth pursuing before it gets sent to committee and all that sort of stuff. And people seem to think that he legitimately can throw up this money. I don't know how he's made the money. It's not explained very well. The interview is very convoluted. I won't go too far into the interview, but like, it's crazy that this is the bid that everyone was super excited about. But now there's other people coming out of the woodworks that still might be bidding on this too. So it's not over, Carol. But it's so funny because everyone's like, why aren't you posting about like the Commanders have a new owner? I was like, I don't think you understand how complicated this process is. You got to put an offer sheet, a balance sheet, all these different things together. Then it's got to get ratified by the NFL and by 2/3, I believe, of the team. And so it's not like it's just like, hey, it's a backroom deal between these two people. Like, it's very public, and it'll be interesting to see.
From what I
where
heard,
this
we're
goes.
thinking about June would be the time when everything is wrapped up. And honestly, I can't wait because
If this one goes through, now there's a lot of question marks. So at least a lot of radio hosts and a lot of people are reporting a lot of questions on it. I mean, Grant and Danny, who I trust a little bit more than the junkies when it comes to some of this stuff, they really were skeptical about this. So like, I don't know what to believe anymore, Carol. Like, I don't know.
like they say, real recognize real, fraud recognize fraud, and I'll leave it at that. But I'm just I'm just ready for it to be.
What's going to happen? But you're looking forward to being over. Now I'm not thinking it's going to be over anytime soon.
Well, I mean, just because they allow him to submit the bid doesn't mean they're going to take it seriously. They might just be doing it just to appease him, just to keep it quiet because he's been on shows and he gonna try to make it, whatever. So just because they allow him to put a bid in doesn't mean they're actually seriously considering letting this go down. So I mean, as long as the deal gets done.
But there's no. But if this bid doesn't get taken, the other two bids are happening contingency because they're trying to get the same deal this one is. So I'm just very curious.
I just wanted to be over. I honestly,
I know you do. But I could see a situation, Carol, and I hate to say this, where this goes south, none of the other deals come through in a timely fashion, and he's still the owner next year.
And I wouldn't be surprised. That's why I'm like, I'm worried about the product on the field. I'm worried about the draft. I'm worried about, third place schedule, potential new offensive coordinator. Those are the things that I'm thinking about. All this other stuff, that's why I posted on one of the, one of the larger Washington websites. They were talking about, how refreshing it's going to be in the draft not having Dan Snyder's interference. And I said, okay, well, first of all, there was no interference. Second of all, I can't wait for this deal to be done so y'all will actually have to start reporting about sports again. Because I'm tired. That's all everybody's talking about. At the Defenders game, folks walking to the game to go see an 8-1 team talking about F. Dan Snyder. I'm like, really? What does he have to do with this? Is he that much? Point to me on the door where this man hurt you. Because the way they have demonized this man and the way the sports media has made him out to be such a bad guy, these folks have PTSD and they thinking with him, like everything is going to be great. We're going to the Super Bowl. Everything is going to be honky-dory once he's gone. Nobody knows first of all, nobody knows who the new owner is. And nobody knows how they're going to act when they get into ownership. So, I mean, like I said, I've said my take. Everybody thinks that I defend Dan Snyder. I don't defend him. I just try to tell people he's not as big as a devil as everybody makes him seem to be. He isn't that rumors of him, having yelling fits about him wanting to draft certain players and him choosing RG3 over Kirk Cousins because Shanahan. I'm so tired of hearing that narrative. And we've disproved it over and over again, but because the major media outlets repeated and regurgitated like it's true, it's frustrating. You're like, dude, I know people at the park. I know what happened. It isn't what these folks that phone in once a week that talk to the water boy or the towel boy getting their inside scoop. I'm talking to people that's there on a daily basis. So it's like, I'm just ready for it to be done and over with because it'll give the fan base one less thing to whine and complain about. It'll give the DC sports media one less thing to have clickbait about, even though they still probably going to write a year after the Daniel Snyder finally left. Look where how far we've come. I can see that going on just because they know by putting his name in the headline, they're going to get somebody to click on. I'm just ready for it to be over, honestly, man.
Yeah. Seattle just scored, and it's our old Finn, Daniel Sprong. The second ex-Capital to score tonight. And they take a 2-0 lead in this one with 7:16 left right now in the first period. Also, I want to remind people that Gruby is their goalie as well. So if you're looking for a team to root for, I'm rooting for Seattle in this game just because it'd be nice to see some former Caps move on. And Colorado won it last year, So, I like the idea of a fresh story. But, yeah, it's some interesting stuff going on with the Commanders for sure. I didn't want to gloss over all of that. I know maybe you probably did. But, I do think in some ways it is the talk of the town, this bid that everyone was making a big deal of. And we at no point had even talked about that being a live bid on the Commanders so far on this podcast. So I did want to mention that there has been officially put in, and there's some real questions about the person who's putting them in. With that, we're going to switch over to the NHL. I was trying to get an NHL graphic. I thought I made one. Right? Aha, I did. So we'll put that graphic up right now. We'll talk a little bit about this NHL playoffs. Carol, are you watching any of the NHL playoffs, or do you want me to just run through it?
I told you last week, the major series that I'm watching is the Edmonton series to see what McDavid is going to do. They've been pretty much locking him.
Did you watch that game last night? That was a crazy game.
I was frustrated. I started watching. They were down by, I think it was 3, and I turned it off, but I kept checking my phone, and I got the NHL Network to pop up, and I just kept on seeing them pushing. Then I saw that McDavid scored 2 in 2 minutes. And yeah, then I turned on the game, and I saw by the time I turned it back on, it was a 5-4 winner. So I like what they're doing. LA is a tough team, and I thought they had the game because that fourth goal was a thing of beauty, and I thought they just had the momentum.
It was actually Draisaitl who was scoring at a crazy
Oh, Draisaitl, that's right, Draisaitl. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But Connor McDavid did assist on the first 2 goals on that second period. So they were down 3-0 going into the second, which I thought it was over. I also turned it off and was watching it on the stats. But they scored 3 goals, 2 within 5 minutes, both assists by Connor McDavid, so setting them up. The first was on the power play. And then last 10 seconds of a period, Draisaitl scored on the power play again, made it 3-3. But in the third, about 5 minutes in, the Kings took a 4-3 lead, and I kind of went to bed thinking it was kind of over at that point. But Vander Kane, about 12 minutes later, ties it up. It goes into overtime, and Zach Hyman, about halfway through overtime, gets the winner. Some questionable officiating in both this game and the Toronto series, giving some teams life. I saw a lot of people pretty upset about that, saying, look at these Canadian refs trying to, bring these teams back from the dead. The Kings have been very good, though, so far in that series. I think that they should not be overlooked, and they should not be counted out as, they've been playing really good hockey as of late. Let's break down the bracket real fast. Boston is up 3-1 over Florida in that series. The Bruins won the last 2 games after dropping 1 at home, 6-3 to Florida. So they won the first one 3-1 last Monday. Then they lost 6-3. And then they went to Florida and won 4-2 and then 6-2. And their next game is Wednesday at 7. And there's a Friday game if needed at 1. And then, it says 1 o'clock, but I'm going to get that means time to be decided because there's no way there's going to be a Friday game at 1. So I guess Friday and Sunday they haven't announced the times for those.
I got 7 o'clock for game 5 on mine.
Okay, yeah. So I think that the my app. Let me actually go to the NHL app instead of doing it through. Sometimes Yahoo doesn't have the best, like most up to date thing. So anyway, uh, that's been an interesting series. This Jets Golden Knights series has been pretty interesting so far. Right now, Vegas is up in the series 2-1. It's a tied game right now between the two with about 16:20 left in the second period. Uh, we talked about Colorado leading the Kraken 2-1 in their series, but the Kraken are up 2-0 in that one. The Devils, we talked about this a little bit earlier, up over the Rangers, 3-1 tonight. And the road team has won all 4 games in that series. I thought that series was over when they're up 2-0 going to New York. But this series kind of reminds me a little bit of that 2018 series with the Capitals, where they went down 0-2 and went to Columbus, and then then they won that game.
Switch
That was a
goalies
close,
and good things happen.
right. Well, also a close game, overtime game. Just a lot of similarities there, and sure enough, they came back, and so that one, this Maple Leafs. I've just been shocked at how this series has turned around. I really thought that the Lightning were the better team in Game 3 and should have won that game and been up 2-1. And sure enough, the Maple Leafs were not the better team for the first 2 periods, but in the last period, they just dominated, and they've flipped the script on the shots on goal and ended up leading shots on goal by the end of that one. So it's been interesting. Tomorrow,
But you
the
got to
series.
think about it. How much hockey has Tampa Bay played over the last 4 or 5 seasons? You know, they've been playing the postseason for a lot, going to the finals. The last 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5. So eventually, it's going to get to them. You know, it's going to wear on your body. And Toronto, like I said, they, known for blowing 3-1 leads and not being able to get over that hump. This might be that year they can finally get over it, just because Tampa's had a lot of hockey played in the last 5 to 6 years, and you can only go on that for so long.
And I believe Victor Hedman was hurt, and so he's one of their best players, obviously, and so that obviously big hurt. It hurts them a lot. So the Islanders go to Carolina in Game 5 tomorrow. Carolina leads that series 3-1. The Wild are against the Stars. That's the 8 o'clock game tomorrow on TBS. The Islanders Hurricanes is on ESPN. That Wild Stars game, that series is tied 2-2. Very exciting series. Been back and forth. I feel so bad for Tim. His company offered all the employees to either go to Top Shots Golf or to that Wild Stars game for free. And it's a Texas-based, company, and he was flying back there. They voted like 100-6 to do Top Shots Golf instead of going to a 2-2 playoff game. And Tim is pissed. Like, he doesn't obviously care about either of these teams, but still, like, the series has been so good, and you get to go to a free playoff game or top shot. I'm like, you could do that golf thing anytime. Like, how many chances do you have to go to a 2-2 close, awesome playoff series? But I was crushed when Tim told me that about 2 hours ago.
He should put X-Lax in everybody's drink.
Yeah. So that's a bummer for him. And then the Kings play the Oilers in that tied 2-2 series at 9:30 on ESPN. And then on Wednesday, that Panthers-Bruins series could continue, depending on how. That is the next game in that one. So that's the Game 5. That will be on ESPN. And then this Kraken Avalanche series will continue for Game 5 on ESPN at 9:30. And then on Thursday, we would see Game 5 between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Toronto Maple Leafs. That will be on TBS. The Rangers Devils Game 5 will be on ESPN2. And the Jets Golden Knights Game 5 would be on ESPN2 later on at 10 o'clock. So, and then everything else is if necessary. So I won't go through the score, and you could always look that up on the apps. Next week, we'll break down just a quick, how each series went in the NBA and NHL. We'll also break down that playoff game for the Defenders. I'm praying you get to go to, Carol, or find a way out there. I really would love for one of us to be there for sure. I'm happy you got to go to a game earlier in the season, and you clearly brought them some good luck in a very close, tense game. And then we'll also talk a little bit about the Nats. We might just go through those even a little bit faster. A timing update next week, since we are doing a special on my Twitch channel. We'll be doing art from 9 to 10, and then Carol and I will start off with Defenders Talk at 10, and then Nats Talk right after that, and then a quick, brief NBA and NHL playoffs. Much more brief than this one was. We're not going to go through all the games and stuff like that, but just update everyone on how the series have gone. And then the following week, we'll do a more in-depth playoff coverage, and that following week, we'll actually preview the finals of the XFL if we make it. There is a week off in between the semifinals and the finals game. I don't know if we've ever actually mentioned that. So, Carol, any final thoughts on this episode of Sports on the Hill podcast?
Nah, nothing much. I think we pretty much got everything in. Appreciate the support as always. Everybody on Robbie's Twitch channel, the new Defenders fans that's checking out our feed, covering the team. Appreciate it as always. Stay tuned. If you've been checking out my page, you've been seeing me posting some, interesting stuff about life insurance. So that's a precursor to what's coming. So some of my folks on my page, be prepared for me to hit you up about life insurance and advantages it can have for you and your family. Other than that,
scoring update I just wanted to put out there: the Lakers have gone on a tear here. They're up 44-30 now with 6:22. They've definitely poked the bear, and it's not looking good for Memphis, who started the game hot. But anyway, I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, no problem. But just be on the lookout. Things coming, things changing. DC sports are the politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. I'm going to get out of here. No videos, no nothing. Got a crazy week and a full day tomorrow. So I'm ready to get out of here, Robbie. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm going to stop the audio podcast right there. Thanks for everyone for tuning in on our Facebook Live. And then I'll do a little Twitch outro after you jump off. But appreciate you as always, Carol. And we'll see you guys next week for a special 10 o'clock start next week on the abbreviated Sports on the Hill podcast.
All right, catch you next week. We out.